Well, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Whoever you are, wherever you are, whenever it is for you. For me, it is just past midnight on Saturday, the 22nd of November, 2025. That makes this the news and events for Friday, November the 21st, day 1367 of Vladimir Putin's war of aggression against the people of Ukraine. How do you do? I'm Peter Alexievich, and this is the Live at 5 from Kyiv, coming to you from this major European capital that, frankly, is in disarray tonight. It really is. So let's start. Tom Baker, he was my favorite doctor. I see the peeps are coming in. There's Derek Sands. How do you do, Derek? Hey, Lars. Hey, Chef Deb. Hey, Debbie. Hey, T-Bone. Hey, Robert Stewart Key. Hey, Joe. What do you know? It's like a Pavlovian reaction. Hey, Pip. Hey, Big D. Hey, Courtney Davis. Hey, Akron. Nana Pam. Bernard. Hey, Feisty. Hey, G2. Hey, Guard. Oh, the gang is all here. Nice. Hey, everybody. There's our sponsor for tonight's live. Our boy Nutmegger. Hey, Seawolf. How you doing, buddy? Hey, Flavius. Hey, Victoria. Everybody thank Nutmegger and Seawolf for sponsoring tonight's live. I don't have any sponsors for next week, so if anybody can sponsor a live next week, that would be fabulous. Hey, Andy. Hey, Jan. Howdy, James. Hey, Scully. Is Dr. K here? How you doing, Doc? Hey, Alice. Hey, Kath Brown. You're awake. How about that? Did that work? I don't know if that worked. There we go. How you doing, Doc?
Not very technically advanced. Hi. How are you?
I think you got your speakers on.
On or off?
Well, you have to be able
to
hear
me. I can hear you.
But right now, they're feeding back into your microphone.
So
you got a headset?
Let me see.
There you go. What a professional. Hey, Courtney Davis. Hey, Victoria. How's everybody doing tonight? We have a guest this evening. How you doing, Doc?
Everyone. It's a rarity that I'm up this late. My husband's playing poker, so I told.
Your husband's playing poker.
Yes, trying
Is
to
he
win
going to bring
money.
home some? Is he going to bring home some dough, some cash, some lettuce?
He said he had to after I told him I wanted to get Invisaligners to correct my my crooked lower smile.
Well, we shall see what happens. Hey, Doc, were you in Kyiv in 2013?
In 2013, no, I was in Kyiv from 2027 until 2022.
2017 until 2022. So, everybody, the Doc and me, we're both Americans. We both have an interest in Ukraine and in democracy in the world. And today is, of course, the 21st of November, which means that this is the 12th anniversary of Yanukovych, the former president of Ukraine, turning his back on the will of the Ukrainian people to move in a European direction. And instead, he sold out to Moscow. And In response, the Ukrainian people took to the streets. 12 years ago today, the Maidan was populated by a few hundred students. In a few short weeks, it would be hundreds of thousands protesting this corruption. And Maddie, it's your birthday. Happy birthday, Maddie. Now, Maddie, I'll never forget that it's your birthday. So, Doc, it's awful hard for me as an American on this day of all days to hear that the President of the United States has told Zelensky to sign his ludicrous so-called peace deal, which really, of course, amounts to nothing more than Ukrainian surrender. On this day of all days, we hear from the President of the United States, sign the deal by Thanksgiving. Make sure to say thank you, too. And give it all up. And, Doc, you know, when I look at this deal, it's so insane because it includes things that neither party can guarantee, like bringing Russia back into the G8 or releasing the frozen Russian assets. Aren't those decisions the decisions of other sovereign nations? How do they even play into this?
Absolutely. Last February, when I was at the Munich Security Conference, I heard former Foreign Minister Kuleba ask just this thing about expanding the G7 to the G8. And he actually chuckled and he said, the thing about the G7 is it's made up of 7 countries and they get to decide. And you've seen Europe's reaction to, I don't even know if we can call it a peace negotiation because it's not a just peace. And I've been thinking about this extensively. Why now? Of course, this is for Trump's domestic audience, whether it's to distract from everything going on with the Epstein files or to make up for problems with the economy. I don't even need to speculate about this, but this just proves that there is an insensitivity on today of all days to do this. To me, this means really that the quiet part is being said out loud. We've heard the rumors that Russia has been forced to sell its gold reserves. We've also seen that Lavrov is not part of these negotiations. You know, what is it? Dmitry Kirill is his name, or Kirill Dmitry, or whatever.
Kirill Dmitriev, the head of the Sovereign Wealth Fund.
That's right. Why is he doing the negotiation? I've said in the past that wars always start. They may start at the battlefield, but the end at the bank. So that Russia has, according to some reports, ended up selling some of its gold reserves means it's out of liquidity. So Russia's in actually a bad situation. So why would America try to force a peace deal if Russia's losing? And I think that this is where we have to say the quiet part out loud, where the United States, or at least the Trump administration, would prefer to sacrifice Russia for stability because they don't know what would happen if Russia collapsed. What's going to happen, though, sociologists and political scientists like myself will tell you, is there is not going to be a long-lasting peace because of this. It can't even be defined as peace. And it's not just in any terms. The United States is sacrificing Ukraine. Like historically, Ukraine has been sacrificed again and again. And, you know, I say the United States. Maybe it's just the Trump administration. At the beginning of the war, I made a point of saying the Kremlin and not the Russians. And now as I look at things more, even at surveys and statistics, and excuse me for my monologue here, Peter, I'll stop in a second. I think one of the reasons that the United States does not want Russia to collapse is because they really don't know what's going to come next. And this not all Russian bullshit. There have been so many surveys that have shown again and again that between 70 and 80% of the country support the war. And any of the surveys that talk about Russians wanting peace negotiations, it's a wariness because of the war. It's not that they actually want to stop attacking Ukraine. There's no wish to reconcile with Ukraine here. It's just to get a breather. And we know in history that these breathers maybe give us an illusion. You look at the end of World War I, you look at the Treaty of Versailles, you look at other historical examples, and without a true and just peace, it just becomes a shit show. I'm swearing tonight. It's late. I'm sorry.
No. That's fine. I appreciate your thoughtful insight. Joey, what we're talking about is today is, of course, the anniversary of the start of the Maidan Revolution, when Yanukovych sold out the Ukrainian people to the Russians. And today, again, the Ukrainian people are being sold out by the President of the United States. And so it feels to me, and maybe both of you can respond to this. Joey, do you know Dr. K?
I know Dr. K very well. I know her work very well. I appreciate everything she does. Her geopolitical background mindset into this is fantastic. I watch both your guys' videos. I appreciate both of you, what you do.
Thank you, Joey.
I've been meaning to watch something of yours. I'll get to it, I'm sure.
Today I actually got my hands. I had got my hands on 28 plan, the 28-point plan. So today I made a 35-minute long video breaking it down step by step. And to kind of break off of what Dr. K is saying, it's all about money. You're 100%. It is all about money. That's when you look at this in the way that it is. Even in the points that are made that essentially even states in there that they want Russia to rejoin the global economy as fast as possible.
Well, that's what we were just talking about. The fact that this so-called peace plan, which really amounts to nothing more than a capitulation or a surrender plan for the Ukrainians, includes multiple points that Ukraine can't deliver, like letting Russia rejoin the G8 or releasing the frozen Russian assets. These are not within Ukraine's power to grant. It's as though, like, these two, Trump and Putin, both think of themselves as kind of masters of the universe who can dictate to the world, as though no one else has any sovereignty. Now, Joey, you mentioned the economic focus of this plan. You saw the codicil regarding the Arctic exploration.
Yep.
Do you have any thoughts on that?
Well, actually, before we dive into this, I want to just point out one important thing that Putin actually said in a video he uploaded about 4 hours now, which is this agreement that is currently going through was initially pushed through prior to the Alaskan summit. And leading into the Alaskan summit, we found out later that the United States was working with ExxonMobil to restart something inside of Russia. So from day one, it's always been about minerals or gas or some other kind of agreement for, some kind of restarting of their global economies together. And I mean, looking at, I believe, let me pull up the figure if I still have the document open, because I think it capped Russia and how much they could pull out of that agreement. But it seems like in every step of the way, the United States is always going to be the middleman taking a percentage of something.
Which goes, of course, to Trump's solely transactional nature. He sees the world only as his own purse to pilfer at will. And it doesn't matter. Well, Doc, we were talking about the nature of the zero-sum game and zero-sum players last time. And that is certainly Trump and Putin. Yes?
Yeah, definitely. I was just using my friendly here, ChatGPT, to compare what Russia wanted in 2022 in Turkey and now what they're looking at. It's actually, the list is a little bit different. Joey, are you familiar with both lists? Um, if they would have just stopped in 2022, Russia would have actually came away with more today than they would today. And I I think that the, the international order as we know it, there's no coming back, right? And the question of sovereignty and states, I'm really seeing that this is crumbling, which is ironic because, Joy, when you jumped in, I was talking about how propping Russia up to avoid chaos because the Trump administration is uncertain what could come next and what is worse. But they're destroying any type of rule-based order, which also just leads to more chaos, which makes me question the motivations.
Yeah, I mean, you look at the Russian banks right now, between inflation, them eliminating now their gold, at least a lot of their gold, at least according to some reports that are coming through.
And that's a rarity for them.
Yeah, but you also remember something. There's a lot that's happening. I mean, gas is now, I think, at $39 a barrel in Russia. Don't quote me. I think that's where we're sitting at. Between that inflation on investments, them now targeting other oligarchs to take their money, we're seeing a lot of things. And ultimately, I compare this towards the end of the Cold War, in which Europe and the United States now trying to outspend Russia. We're now out manufacturing shells because North Korea is not providing as many. September, none. October, some. But now they have to retool those in order to use them. We're slowly getting to that point. And we're to get to your point where you're saying that, like, look, we now finally have Russia. But why would we give in now? That's Dr. K, exactly what you were saying. It's like, we're at that point. There's something else in play here. Is it that they have something on Trump? Is it Epstein related? Is it something else? Obviously, we don't know. We don't know. And we can go into conspiracies left and right. But at the end of the day, this is what we're looking at. And I know that Europe and Ukraine will never accept this. Zelensky's going to be speaking to Trump soon. I know he spoke to Vance yesterday. But now Europe's got to come together and decide how they're going to front Trump to get him back on board on the European-Ukrainian side.
Well, and I mean, for those of you that know, I was at the Warsaw Security Forum at the beginning of September, and I talked to some of the decision makers, and I spoke with Poland's foreign minister, and they're very realistic about what's going to happen. If Russia is placated, they're next. Yep. And, Russia wants to be, Poland wants to become more or less independent by 2027, and they're manufacturing a lot of things. They're also picking up a lot of tanks and other machinery from South Korea. South Korea delivers quickly, has high quality stuff. I mean, it takes you 6 months to get a South Korean tank. We all remember how long it took to get the Leos to Ukraine, right? It was over 400 days. So Poland is very pragmatic about this, and you have that entire NATO eastern flank just face palming right now, and preparing though, right? And if Ukrainian babushkas warn children about Chechens at night, then I can tell you Russian babushkas are warning about Finnish soldiers at night too.
Yeah. Let's also remember that at the current plan, this 28-point plan, the forces would be stationed inside of Poland, which then makes Poland Russia's next target instantly. Poland is
this
next
is what I'm saying.
If Ukraine falls.
Right, sir.
So where does it stop?
This is what I'm saying.
Where does it stop?
Poland.
Is it just with Slavs? I'm sorry to interrupt. Is it just with Slavs? Is that who our problems are with? Is that who we're willing to sacrifice? I mean, is that where the line's going to be drawn? Everything Slavic, we just let Russia have its way with it, see what happens, roll the dice. But when you get closer to Germany, God forbid France. I mean, usually I'm much more analytical about this, but I'm just so.
But you're as frustrated as every other real person that's watching.
Yeah, I've got emotions today.
It is. On the subject of emotions today, it is heartbreaking for me as an American on this day of all days to hear this kind of talk from the President of the United States. or, this Russian, my opinions on this, right? The state of the American federal system of government. And really, all of this behavior becomes very easy to understand if you just accept the idea that we are in an active coup in the United States, that Trump is a malign foreign agent whose interests lie with Russia. Even look at the schizophrenic nature. We can't even criticize the American policy toward Ukraine because it does not exist. On the one hand, you've got Lindsey Graham's sanctions bill coming up for a vote in Congress. On the other hand, you've got the Lukoil Rosneft sanctions deadline today, which have been absolutely devastating to the Russian economy. And Joey, the last price that I saw for Urals crude was $36.61 a barrel.
Well, it's even lower than I had reported earlier. It's going down.
It's not good. Now, according to Elvira Nabalina at the Russian Central Bank, the critical point for that oil price is 35. It cannot fall to 35, and it cannot stay at 36 for long. Or, according to her, the consequences for the Russian economy will be catastrophic.
It's just, I know China is now mass purchasing that oil, or is going to be buying that to try to float Russia for a bit. But there's only so much that Russia could sell at that price range. They start at net zero. There's not a way for them to come back on that.
Did you guys see the Bloomberg report today around the oil stored at sea? So what we know is that the Russians have never built a lot of oil storage facilities. It gets pumped out of the ground, it goes to the ships for export, or it goes to the refineries for refining, and then it goes right into the economy. They don't have a strategic reserve. They don't have a lot of storage capacity. So when buying of the oil and the oil price dropped, their only choice was to start putting it on ships. It is now known that 380 million barrels of oil are at sea with no port to go to. Bloomberg suggests that, in fact, the amount of Russian oil is probably closer to 500 million barrels.
Wow.
Right? So while the export meters at the marine terminals may be recording all of this oil going out the door, it is in fact circling the globe. And even right now, as we speak, all the way out in Vladivostok, one of the Shadow Fleet tankers is burning. We don't know if it's Ukrainian sabotage. At least I don't. Maybe you guys have updates. But we don't know whether it was Ivan Sigaretov or whatever. But there is a tanker burning out there. And every one of these Shadow Fleet tankers poses an environmental risk to the world. So with potentially 500 million barrels of oil at sea, something in the range of $30 billion, even at the $36 barrel price. Russia doesn't have the customers. China doesn't have the storage capacity. Their storage is full. And of course, we've got the sanctions against the Chinese port. Now, no Russian oil is moving into there. That's 660,000 barrels a day that is not getting processed. So what do you guys know, or what did I miss about the crash in the oil economy based on the Ukrainian attacks against marine terminals?
I've got nothing on that. Go ahead, Joey.
Yeah, so I guess you got to go back to a few questions here, because Ukraine has been attacking more than just marine terminals. they've been going after refineries and depots left and right to shut them down so they can't move things. So while you're talking about storage, you do think about the things that were already destroyed or things that were cut off that were originally supposed to be moving forward. So it's more than just really marine terminals that are now affected by this.
Well, Joey, but wait for a second, because you're right, of course. But remember, Russia right now has an export ban in place on refined oil products. Mm-hmm. So hitting the refineries only affects internal domestic production and consumption. The oil terminals are critical because that's foreign export. And that's having that oil on the market keeps the price of oil down. The big concern that we all have is that the price of oil is going to skyrocket if Russian oil comes off the market. And right now, it looks like Russian oil is toxic. Nobody wants to touch it for fear of these secondary sanctions on Lukoil, and after Lukoil and Rosneft were sanctioned. Am I wrong?
What about Singapore? They've got some.
What about?
They've got some capacity for oil storage. I'm just looking at, the top oil storage capacity places. India's not going to touch it. South Korea's not going to touch it. Japan's not going to touch it. But what about Singapore and UAE? I mean,
UAE will take all that they can get, I'm sure. But there's a limit to how much they can take. They can they only have so much refining capacity.
I've been watching the relationship between Russia and the Gulf states, and what Russia can offer the Gulf states is that whitewashing and that legitimacy, being peacemakers. There are reasons why there's always hostage handovers there, and that's a relationship that should be watched. Apparently the Chinese foreign minister said to the Polish foreign minister, if they were really supporting Russia as much as everyone thinks, then Russia would be doing a lot better. I don't know how much truth there is into that, but this idea of the instability, it collapsed Russia would cause the rest of the world. I'm almost ready to roll the dice on this one.
I mean, look, of course, when Russia collapses, it will descend into an orgy of violence, the likes of which the world has not seen for a long time.
In Russia.
In Russia, well, but that's the thing. It's going to be Russian on Russian. Well, Russian on Tuvan, Russian on Karelian, Russian on Buryat, right?
There'll also be consequences for countries like Hungary and Slovakia that still rely on the Russian oil. And let's be realistically here, there are still European countries that still get some of that stuff. It will have worldwide issues. I mean, China is going to hold off as much as they can on buying some of that Russian stuff. But eventually they're going to fold. I mean, they're trying to become a bigger superpower towards the United States, and they, in a way, almost have it with some of the organizations that there are countries that they're tying up with. But there is more than just that, because, remember that if this price jumps up, then it's going to jump up for everyone. It's going to affect everyone's economy. So back to Dr. K's whole thing about, the collapse of Russia, or at least even the partial collapse of Russia, is going to create such a major issue, which is why potentially Trump could be pushing this. But also, I'm a big believer in this. All right, let me back up for a second here. Remember that none of this information was supposed to get out about this 28-point plan. This was only leaked because of K, whoever, we don't know who K is. Not sure if it's Kellogg, even though he may not have been part of those meetings, or maybe he was.
It's Kirill.
It's got to be Kirill, but at the same time, he's been Putin's left-hand man for so long, and every time Witkoff went out there, he met with him to go over developments so that Trump and all in the U.S. can develop and make money once this is over. So it's interesting in how it came out. It also makes Russia look weak for this to come out, which is my argument on why would Russia release that.
Was it to apply pressure though? Maybe
on who though? Because it doesn't put pressure on the U.S., nor does it really put pressure on Ukraine, because Ukraine will just have to do it without the United States if they truly pull out. But we all know that Macron and Starmer and you name it, all of them are going to be calling Trump and having another meeting, and it's going to calm down Trump. So why would Russia leak it to the point to where we now get this? Unless someone else did it to try to get public comment. Like, for example, the copy that I got was fully in Russian, which means it was the Russians that probably leaked it. But at the same time, what is
It's the Russians that probably wrote it.
Yeah. So what is Russia getting out of it being leaked?
I'm thinking about KGB tactics, reflexive control. They do something because they expect people to react a certain way, and it may on the surface look stupid, but they ran the stats and they figure someone's going to react a certain way that they can predict that'll maybe in the midterm be to their advantage. I don't think Kirill would be that. I don't think it was a mistake. I think it was very calculated. They're always playing three-dimensional chess, or whatever the calculus is, or whatever the term people want to use. And I mean, it's just not one thing they're throwing at the wall and seeing what sticks. It's a bunch of things. So this could have just been one of the things. We'll leak this and we'll see what happens. We'll see who reacts to it. We'll see what Trump does. The fact that they're selling gold, though, this is going to be a hard pivot for a minute, but the fact that everyone's talking about these Serbian human safaris, have people forgotten what's happening in Kherson? I mean, why isn't anyone in the media making these connections about how that's happening right now still?
It's because especially here in the U.S., there's too much going on. Like, I feel bad. I just had this conversation the other day with a U.S. representative where we're talking about how, unfortunately, because like Kherson, there's explosions every day. If you report it on every single explosion, you just get numb to it. And that's what's happening. Like, when I tell people, like, exactly in Kherson, where Russia's using drones to attack civilians and they're making a game out of it. They're like, wait a minute, what? And I go, yeah, it's been going on for like 2.5 years. That's what they've been doing. And it's like the first time I ever heard of it because there's just too many things. I mean, between the government shutdown and Jeffrey Epstein and then ICE agents and who's being arrested. And there's just too much happening. And because of that, every horror story that happens in Ukraine, which would make headlines on a regular day, gets kind of hidden behind things. We talk about Russia selling the gold stuff. That didn't even hit the news in the U.S. And to me, when the major banks inside of Russia start shelling out gold to get money, that's like a major economy sign of something is wrong. But it hasn't even hit here, really.
So can I ask, just to be clear on this, my understanding is that traditionally Russia keeps 500 tons of gold in the Sovereign Wealth Fund. Just before the war, they built up those reserves to 700 tons. The last accounting that I saw, there was 173 tons of gold left in the Sovereign Wealth Fund. Now, you guys are talking about gold sales as if something recently has happened.
Yeah, last couple days, it picked up.
I'm unaware of it. Can you give us some details?
Well, I can only tell you what, like, I can search for and things like that. Because, I have a pattern of analysis, right? There are certain things I do when I'm trying to figure out things, and I just hit on that. I just kind of have this little list I go through of, what's going on in financial markets, what's going on with this and this and this, and I'm going to change the subject again for a minute, and something just occurred to me. What if they leaked that so people would have to publicly position themselves on it? What if they were testing the waters? Because they leaked the points of the plan, and everyone responded. I'm just spitballing.
I cannot help but wonder, like right now, Trump is under so much pressure at home. He has increasingly, I think, to deal with a pro-Ukrainian, anti-Russian contingent of the Republican Party that are pushing for things like the Rosneft sanctions, the sanctions bill from Graham, the ATACMS strikes deep inside Russia, the information sharing. So he's got his own contingent at home. If the idea of releasing the plan, a ridiculous nonsense plan, and tell me if you don't agree that there's no way it will be accepted by anybody. But if you're right, Carrie, if the idea is to get people to position themselves, it could well be a way to flush out or make clear who in the United States for Trump is on his side and who's not. And then, of course, official positions from all of the EU, further driving divisions into the Western societies, which is what Putin is so good at.
Which, I mean,
Peter, is
go
our
ahead,
signal
Dr.
group still called? Is our signal group still called Airstrike Yemen? Because I just found a.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
Because I just found the Moscow Times put something out yesterday about the Joey. If you want to join our signal group called Airstrike Yemen, I'll add you to
please.
it too.
And I know what article, you're talking about, the Moscow Times from yesterday. I read that one. I believe
Can
it was.
you give us a summary?
I believe it was 405. Was it tons of gold before the full-scale invasion?
How heavy is that? Think about that.
That is insane.
Well, it's 405 tons, Carrie.
But now it says that Russia's gold holdings exceed 23,000 tons.
Well, that's only because that they grabbed that guy off his plane. Remember
Yanukovych? Speaking of the 12th year anniversary.
Yanukovych, man.
No, not Yanukovych, not Yanukovych, the gold oligarch. I can't remember his name, but remember they arrested him, they threw him in a gulag, they seized all his assets. So in the Sovereign Wealth Fund, as far as I know, it's 173 tons is what's left. So if there's 23,000 tons, is that what Moscow Times is reporting?
No, it says it listed at ministry sold 57% or trying to cover the budget, leaving 173.1 tons as of November 1st. So
that's not a lot.
That's not a lot. That's not a lot. But you also got to remember something, that Putin is still off the books one of the richest men in the entire world.
Yeah, but he's not going to dip into his own things to bankroll the guys in the front line with,
Or did he already?
Pride is a thing.
I wonder.
You have to assume that at one point, because remember, 3-day war, even if he thought it was going to be a 1-year war, the amount of money they've been burning through, to the point to where they're, stealing oligarchs' gold and things. There's got to come a point in time to where someone said something to him like, yo, you got to start paying for something soon.
Hey, why does Lavrov
he seems to be saying that to the oligarchs, right? He seems to be squeezing them out.
Well, he says, I gave you everything you have. It's time for you to pay it back. That's what he says.
It's in the family, right? You got it because of me. I'm in a tight pit. Hey, why does Lavrov's daughter reportedly have a U.S. passport?
It probably was a money thing, or it was probably a pre-war thing. How old is she? Like 30 for something?
So he was working at the UN when he was born, but according to the Vienna Convention, diplomats, unless you're consular, your kids don't get citizenship by, when you're born in the United States or anywhere else. So I'm trying to figure out if the U.S. was hoping that should be a potential asset of somehow, which kind of non-linear thinking here is my motto tonight. There might be stability if we keep Russia going, but is anyone really thinking about the over 30,000 Russians that crossed in the United States and the Mexican borders in 2022?
I'm sorry, just to cut you off for 1 second. Lavrov's daughter was actually born in the U.S.
Yeah, but she
was born in New York.
Yeah, when he was at the UN.
Yeah, but
I had no idea. That doesn't make any sense.
So
why they would give her that citizenship? That is weird.
That's what I can't figure out either. I jumped down a rabbit hole the other day thinking of when Lavrov went missing, right? So I was like, oh, let's go dig a little bit deeper. And when I realized his daughter reported to have a U.S. passport, the person I was in conversation with was like, yeah, she was born there, but that's not allowed. Diplomats do not get, their kids don't get that. There's a small loophole for consular things.
So it says here,
consular.
It says here,
how long
Lavrov
has she had it?
Was a diplomat, but not a diplomatic rank, which would usually exempt his children from U.S. citizenship. Only those with full diplomatic immunity would have fallen under that.
Oh, come on. He was a Soviet diplomat.
Yeah, he
They should
was.
send him here like good luck, you know.
That's weird. That's,
So,
I'm now
so
going
this
to
is
drink out
some.
of a bottle. I don't have a glass.
I'll
Oh
drink out of the
wow,
bottle.
dear God. So this is something she's had for a while. It's not something she acquired like under the gold card citizenship.
No, this
of
is the
Trump.
80s. I think she was born in 84 or something.
No,
Okay.
I'm seriously like, were they thinking maybe she'd be an asset for them? I mean, uh, Putin's daughter divorced the Dutch guy she was married to.
I mean, I think it's far more likely that the Russians thought having a Russian with a U.S. passport would be more valuable to them, and they figured out a way to make that happen.
Well,
Yeah.
this was towards the end of the Soviet Union.
I think it was
You
like
know,
88 or 82. Let me look.
It was something like that.
It's so
I want to
nice
say it
be
was
with
84
nerds.
maybe.
It's so nice to be with nerds.
But for her to have it, I think at one point they probably did think, you know what? Maybe if she was American and he could be maybe on our side, because I mean, at that rate, was Russia the enemy? Yes, no. Maybe down the line, this could be a tool for us.
Well, I think it's fair to say that there is a deep cynicism and irony to the fact that we are hearing these threats from the President of the United States against an emergent democracy that is our ally, that if they do not capitulate to Russian demands, we will cut off their aid and intelligence sharing. On today, the anniversary of the start of the Maidan Revolution, the march toward democracy and sovereignty and freedom from the yoke of Russian oppression. And it
poetic.
is,
But you give him too much
what's
credit.
that?
Well, it's poetic, but you give him too much credit. I mean, I don't think anybody at the White House has like the anniversary of calendar there. You know?
Hey guys,
Right,
today's
which-
a horrible day. Let's put something out today.
Hey, wait a minute! Someone's
Which-
doing math in the comments. This is impressive.
Somebody's doing math. Oh, pounds, ounces, 22.5 billion
That's
in
it?
173. In 100, that's what 173 tons is worth,
That's
according to
not
that
a
guy's
lot.
math. Dude, they're broke.
That
They're
is not a
going
lot of money.
broke.
Oh my gosh. That's a
They
beautiful
had
thing.
700 tons at the start of the war.
And
700 tons.
and I know that they have the Amber Room too somewhere.
They have what?
The Amber Room.
Oh, the amber room. Yeah. I do love me some amber.
Yeah, it's stuck in that train somewhere underground with all the other stuff.
Hey, guys, let me tell you. So first of all, Joey and Dr. K, I really appreciate you coming in, and I enjoy our conversation. We have about 15 minutes left to this live. If you guys don't mind, I'd like to turn to the folks that are here and ask them if they have any questions for us, for either of you. Does anybody have any questions specifically for Joey or for Dr. K or for both of them? Could Russia sell nukes? Not legally. I mean, there would certainly be some pushback in the world over that.
Can they give the nukes that we gave to the United States, which then gave them to Ukraine? Can we get those back?
Yeah, that'd be nice.
Oh, Freaky Dane has a question. Bonus point for the
Freaky.
name.
When will Ukraine be able to produce its own CV-90s? That's a thing that's happening, right? There's a shared production, but I don't think that production line even starts up until sometime into 2026. Joey, is it pork roll or Taylor ham?
Oh,
This
it's
is my
pork
buddy
roll.
Joe in Jersey.
It's pork roll.
It's pork roll. There you go, pal. I'm a big fan of that Taylor ham and cheese. Have the Lukoil Rosneft sanctions go through? Well, today is the deadline.
Today's it.
Now, we know that the Treasury Department has eased they've massaged it a bit. Not everything has to be done today, but a big chunk of it is supposed to be. So it's going to be very interesting to see what the reaction of the Treasury Department is over this deadline. Does anybody have any follow-up on that?
Well, we have Hungary still has a year exemption, and they had some things did get a few. What was it, a month or so exemption, so the sale can go through with the international stuff. So we're really not going to see the full effect of this for a little bit, but some of it's going to hit hard, and then we'll start seeing the Hungarian thing in about a year if it doesn't get extended. Which, according to Marco Rubio, it's probably not. It's just a pause. But once the sale goes through, we'll then see more reaction from this.
Bobby's got a great question. Can Ukraine survive without U.S. intelligence? What do you guys think? And can Europe replace the U.S.?
Did they know? Did the U.S. know about the drones on the flatbeds? Was that just, did they?
So from my understanding, Ukraine had told the United States they were planning something and they were targeting certain things, but they didn't tell them how they were going to do it. That is from my understanding from the people who I've spoken to. But the United States did also help plan other attacks, though. So, which is the intelligence for it? Now, the grand question is, the UK's got great intelligence. Germany's got some great intelligence. Is it enough to counterweight the US? I don't think so. I think that there is definitely great intel partners in the EU, but I don't think it will make up for the loss of the US intelligence. But you also have to ask yourself, is it the intelligence sharing the worst part of this? Or is it that the United States may not sell weapons to NATO who can then turn them to Ukraine? Because we also don't know what that gray area is. Is it that just the U.S. is not selling? Are they just not allowing people to buy it for Ukraine, or what?
Now, that's an excellent point, Joey, because I cannot imagine that Donald Trump is going to say no to $100 billion in weapons sales to Ukraine through the Pearl Initiative.
Yeah.
It just makes no sense to me.
He's about the money. This is the money.
It's about the money, right? Exactly.
But it also, if you read the original contract for the 28 point, there are certain weapon systems that Ukraine cannot have. So it's weird. It's a weird list. It's a dream list for Russia.
Well, that's what I said, right? Is that it looks like it was written by, it looks like Witkoff just took dictation to put this thing together. In all fairness,
if you do read it, there are things in there that Russia does get punished for, but the area is so gray. I mean, it talks about how Ukrainian families with third party of the international courts kind of being in would get some kind of compensation for things that they have lost. But we talk about value, and we talk about, let's say you had a house in Adivka, Bakhmut, that's completely leveled. And maybe you're a woman whose house got destroyed, your business got destroyed, and your husband was murdered. Where's the equivalent of a compensation? How does that work? So there's so many gray areas that I think Russia put in there so they can, deny things.
Like your insurance company after a fire.
I'm dealing with a car insurance thing, man. All insurances are nuts.
Here's one. Will China take over Russia if Russia collapses? What do you think? Do you think they got their eye on North Manchuria and Vladivostok?
Well, they've got their eye on it. I think right now they've got their eye more on Taiwan, though.
I think part of me believes that China is always have their eye on waiting for Russia to collapse in some way so they can gain something.
But smooth, right? Yeah. They're going to play the long game.
Yeah.
Nothing abrupt. We won't even notice it.
No, we're here to help you, Russia. If you just give us this and we can help you with this. And then ultimately China gets it. They play the smooth card. You're right.
Well, this is what Canada had to learn, right? Where it's help against help. When you have a strong neighbor, you can't always count on them leaving after they come in to help. And it's a political theory, right? I mean, so it's something that Canada was like, God damn it, we got to get better, guys. Hey, I'm keeping an eye on Lukashenko lately because I'm wondering if he's trying to jump ship. Right? He's announced that he doesn't want to run for re-election, and he's already got his family taken care of, so charges can't be pressed. Where would a guy like that go, though, when he's done? With the Gulf states? And the reason I'm bringing this up is because if there's a true decline, Putin's allies are really going to start trying to play it safe. And Lukashenko's wanted to step down for a while. That Chechnyan guy also keeps saying, "Hey, I want to quit. I've got cancer." And Putin's like, "No, you don't. You're staying. You're staying." So I'm wondering if there's anything else like that going on. Putin's longtime allies that are just like, "No, we're done. We're leaving politics."
I mean, we could always argue what's actually happening behind the curtain over there. I mean, from what we're understanding, a lot of the oligarchs don't like him. They don't want him there, but they can't publicly say those things because once you start showing that weakness, Putin will just get rid of you one way or another. When it comes to Lukashenko and his exit plan, I don't think there really is an exit plan for Lukashenko. He's done so many horrible things to his own people. He's done horrible things to Ukraine. The only way out, and this is a big is if he jumped ship and went to Europe and said, "Let me give you everything that I have on Putin or Russia or this or that." Because he allowed Russia to come in and set up all of those launchers and, pre-war, allow those troops to go in and train and set them up on the border and do all of these things. He's as guilty as Putin at the beginning of the war.
He let the Russian police come in and kick the crap out of his own protesters in 2020 too.
Yep.
And but I'm just wondering, where did somebody go like that afterwards?
He has to come clean and go to Europe. That's the only thing that could ever work. That's the only thing
would
for
have
him to live without the fear of being taken out.
It's like Assad.
I mean, is there any place
Moscow.
other than Moscow?
Well, he can't go to Moscow, right?
No,
he associates himself.
He's not welcome there when this is all done.
Has Assad opened up a dental clinic yet in Moscow?
Who?
The old Syrian leader. He's a trained dentist.
Oh, Assad. I thought you said Hassan.
Sorry. My cat is ripping everything off my desk right now.
I'm very Midwestern in my pronunciation still, despite being gone from the States for years.
Oh, Assad. I don't know. He doesn't get seen very much. And we have reports of at least 2 poisoning attempts. So I don't know what his future looks like.
Well, where's Yanukovych these days, right? Is he?
What's that?
Where's Yanukovych at?
They're all playing mahjong at 6 p.m. on the terrace.
You gotta stop, buddy.
I'll tell you, just to go back to the China thing for a second, it's my opinion that if things deteriorate inside Russia and the security situation becomes desperate, the Chinese will simply say to the world, look, we've got $100 billion in energy investments around Lake Baikal. We've got to go in and stabilize the situation. We're just here to help. And then they'll never leave.
And then they'll shut off the back doors and all the water treatment plants in the United States. And then we'll really know how things are.
That day is coming, Carrie. There's no doubt that day is coming.
Yeah, I was just pricing rainwater collection stuff for my house. It's that bad for me. DIY drone cages.
DIY drone cages and water collection, huh?
Yeah, we talk about, energy and things like this. I want to jump back to one thing in that 28-point plan. I don't know if you guys read it. Ultimately, the Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant would ultimately be ran by yet another third party and be split down the middle, part Ukrainian and part Russian.
Yeah.
Get out of here, really?
Yep.
But we haven't talked about the timing of this stupid energy situation in Ukraine and this cabinet corruption thing.
Yeah.
And how, if you trickle down and you look at who was laundering the money, it was all people with Russian passports. And I mean, sometimes things are coincidences, sometimes things are set up. I mean, hey, corruption's a problem in Ukraine. We know it. We'd look foolish if we denied it. They're getting better. They're getting caught. But the fact that there were a lot of Russians involved in doing the money laundering at the the second and third tier, right? I mean, that is just, if I was going to set up a way to destabilize a country that was dependent on Western aid, I'd be really tempting, and then I would drop the bombshell as I was running out of money, because I would, flashbang that, and then I'd make Ukraine look bad and force things a little bit.
I mean, you're not wrong, right? That could certainly be. But don't you think it's just more likely that those who participate in corruption inside of Ukraine need a fast escape route? And so having a Russian passport. And, everybody here has relatives in Russia.
Yeah, I know.
It's,
and there's lots of dual citizens. I know.
But you're not wrong, certainly. Hey, guys, listen, we only have 3 minutes left. So real quickly.
You have a babysitter? Like what? Like, are you that strict or what? I'm never up this late, so I don't know how this works.
Were you drinking coffee?
No, but I got some free time. Kids aren't around, dog isn't barking, I'm just all giddy.
All right, fine. We'll keep going. But before we do that, there's no rules. Before we do that, I do want to thank Nutmegger, who is the sponsor of tonight's live. I do want to thank Lars, who has the Discord server, Nightshade, who has the Peter's Peeps group on the Book of Faces. And I want to thank the moderator team, best moderators on the Tickety Talk. You got Feisty, Maddie, Roy, and Travis. So thank you guys all for everything that you do every day here. And we got a question for Dr. K. Can you open a live once Peter goes to sleep? There you go. Put it on you. It is 1 o'clock in the morning here,
It's only 6 p.m. where I'm at.
Friday.
So.
What time is it where you are, Joe?
It's only 6 o'clock for me, and I'm up till 6 o'clock in the morning, so it works.
There you go.
Here's the thing, kids. I used to do lives all the time. Friday nights in Kyiv, I'd pour myself a glass of red wine. It was COVID, and I would just talk and talk and talk. My husband used to sit in the next room, and he would watch my lives because he was afraid no one else did. That wasn't support.
What a nice guy.
Now when I'm angry, I still block him on social media. And so when the war started, I stopped doing lives. And I stopped doing lives because it was really hard for me, because I had a lot of survivor's guilt. I got out of Ukraine about 8 days before the troops came in from the north. And you guys might know the story. I lost a lot of friends. Max Levine was a colleague of mine, worked on my camera crew when I had a TV show. Vika, I worked in the same newsroom as her, and I know a lot of people that talked a lot about Ukraine, and I just didn't have it in my heart. And it's 2025, and now I'm starting to have a little bit of fun again, right? It's taken me a long time. So maybe I'll start doing lives again, maybe, but I don't know if I have enough to say, right? I try to keep my videos to under 3 minutes, right? So.
Well, that's just because that's the average attention span of the average American.
Oh, not even. It's just
that's about 3 seconds.
I'm a generous soul. And I do think we could do better.
And I think you going live would help you out in a therapeutic way. I just want you to know that. Because you start realizing that there are a lot of people that care, and there's stories that haven't been told yet that need to be told. And those said stories are the stories that, fire people up to want to support and do more things. You never realize it. I was in the middle of Florida last week, and someone stopped me and told me they jumped on one of my lives about 3-4 months ago. And they almost for Roberto, when I came back and said to me exactly what I said, and they said I never forgot that.
Does your heart good, doesn't it?
It does. It makes you go, okay, so I'm making a difference. Sometimes it feels like you're just uploading things and screaming into the void, but you don't realize you're touching someone, and what you're saying to them will mean a lot. And maybe they're going through something horrible and they don't have anyone else to connect to, and they're connecting to you. So
Parasocial.
Yesterday,
That's the word of the year.
what's the word of the year?
parasocial.
Parasocial. It's about relating with people
Parasocial.
that you've met online. You know, that people. Yeah, you feel like you know them. I can relate to that. Sorry to interrupt you, Peter. What were you going to say?
No, I just on the subject of not knowing the effects you have on people. There's a guy who came into my lives from the very beginning, a guy named Clay Fry. I don't know if he's here tonight. But Clay was always asking me to say something funny about what was going on. And at the beginning, I couldn't find anything funny. But over time, you have to laugh at some of these things. And over time, I found far more things to laugh about. And he had a direct impact on how this live gets delivered every day. And yesterday was my 900th day of doing this. I've been doing this now for 900 days. And if you had told me that I would be doing it for 900 days, I would never have believed you. And there was so much really positive feedback from so many people. It was very motivating. And yeah, you're right, Designology. We are struggling today. I know I'm struggling. It's definitely been a day of struggle. But we're still here. And everybody here is trying to do their best, I think. So, guys, you know what? Listen, I am going to call it a night because now I'm getting maudlin. I'm so glad that you two are both such losers. You have nothing else to do on a Friday night, but come into my live. That is so awesome. So I'm going to leave. I'm going to leave the final thoughts to both of you. I'm extremely grateful for you both being here, for your insight and your time, obviously. So, Doc, you got any final thoughts? Anything you want to say to everybody before we call it a night?
Thank you. I'm glad I had the time to join you tonight.
I can't believe you're awake.
I know, it's crazy. I'm doing some research and I'm talking to other influencers about the possibility of people's social media channels getting commandeered in times of crisis, if that is something that could happen and how it should happen, and if there should be an ecosystem of trusted influencers that are ready to pass on important information. So I'll probably follow up with you guys. I think it's an interesting topic. Joey, how do I reach you? Just give me your private number right here in front of everybody.
Yeah, I'm going to put my phone number. Send me a message on here, or you can get me at Gmail. I put all my email and contacts up there. It's Joey Contino News at Gmail. To get off on your point for a second, I'm actually going to the UK in a few weeks to actually talk about that exact thing that you just said.
Yeah, it's really important. Just yesterday, I sent off some emails to some EU policymakers because I think it's important because 70% of people get their news from social media, and the new statistics are that they choose one or two people that they really trust. And if you can figure out who those people are, when shit hits the fan, they're going to listen to them instead of radio, TV, and what we used to do in the old days, right? So it's especially important in Europe in the security architecture for civilian resilience to have this infrastructure, this ecosystem. So I'd like to hear some feedback on that. So I will reach out to you.
Please do. I could tell you about some of the things we're already working on. There's certain countries that we're working with their own defense departments to get information out. So I'll be happy to tell you that stuff, obviously off camera. But
yeah, cool. Thanks, Joey.
But my final point for those watching, we got 336 people in here. And it's the one thing I kind of been hammering around to everyone online. And that is, no matter where you are around the world, you are Ukraine's voice. You see what Russia tries to do, where they try to divide people, try to make people fight amongst each other so that they're not coming together in unity in support of Ukraine. And so depending on which country you're in, whether it's the United States, whether you're somewhere in Europe, wherever you're at, it's your voice to your representatives and those decision makers is what will help Ukraine. And so Russia, in doing what they're doing now, is trying to cause this divide, cause Russia to essentially hide what's happening in Ukraine. But you should always be out there advocating, letting people know what's happening, getting the information out there, telling people that, hey, last night in Odessa, they hit another residential building, or the day before that, they hit this, they hit that. Because, yeah, things get numb after a while and people forget. And sometimes they need a little reminder of what's right in this world. What is the right decision versus what's the wrong decision instead of the easy decision. And so those watching right now, be Ukraine's voice. Go out there, tell your representatives you support Ukraine, and you'll, whatever we need to do, give Ukraine to it so that way they can end in what is a fair, just peace. So that's my final word for you.
All right.
You know, it's interesting that the two things that you're talking about there. On this channel, some of the people on this channel and me, we're working on a new project called Project Pushback. You guys know that there are all of these Russian influencers who are walking around Moscow talking about how there's freedom of speech here. Look at me, I have my phone. I'm going around filming, right? In Russia. And Sasha meets Russia and these kinds of people, right? And our project is geared toward going on these lives and challenging these narratives and actively, rather than pointing out a trusted person, try to warn the useful idiots in the West that might be seduced by this drivel. That these people are not to be trusted. So maybe when those PowerPoint decks are finished, I'll send them to you, Doc. And Joey, you might be interested in that too.
Well, I appreciate you having me on. I appreciate Dr. K. I appreciate all you guys. I appreciate everything you're doing.
Ditto.
Thank you.
I mean,
it was lovely to finally meet you, Joey. Long-time lurker.
Hey, lurk away, man. Lurk away. But it was great meeting you. And then, Peter, always great talking to you as well. You guys stay safe, okay?
Good talking to you.
Yeah. Good night, you guys.
Thanks so much for your time. Thanks, guys. Big thanks to Dr. K and to Joey Contino for joining us this evening. Big thanks to our sponsor, Nutmegger and Seawolf. Big thanks to Lars, who has the Discord server, Nightshade, who has the Peter's Peeps group on the Book of Faces, and of course, the best moderator team on the Tickety Talk. Thank you all for being here to be part of this discussion. And make it a great day and have a pleasant tomorrow. Thanks, everybody. Take care.